Right, we're back. This is Anagalactic on Sunday, December 7th, a date which certainly will live in infamy as all the days of America's life and all Americans have a day of judgment to look forward to. I'm sure you don't believe that, but whether you know it or not, that's why you're tuned in here. Over here, you'll see an excerpt from the Book of Enoch, the holiest book of all, the oldest book of all, the very first prophecy, despite what Islam claims, which is perfectly reasonable, but in religion you have an overlap between absolute nonsense and absolute truth. That's a very good definition of religion. Islam is a perfect example of that. It started out perfect. Technically, it remains perfect in its pristine form from 1,300 years ago when the angel Gabriel spoke to Muhammad. And I've given you the reasons for that, but since you don't tune in or listen, I'll tell you again. Muhammad was selected by heaven to take the place of the former prophets. And he's the absolute replacement for all prophets. You don't need any other prophets to get started in true religion. That's what Islam is all about. It takes the place of mainly Judaism, which of course God hates. That's all through the Bible. God hates Israel whenever it appears. So naturally, this is the apocalypse because Israel is back. It's only been back for, a blink of an eye. 1948, the United Nations, invented by Joseph Stalin under Zionist guidance, and Roosevelt in his fucking wheelchair just went right along with it. Sure, let's make the United Nations so we can get Israel back on the map. So all the Jews, as they call themselves, which they're not, that's very important. There are no Jews. Although there's a footnote, because the Book of Enoch was kept by the Jews for over 2,000 years in hiding in Ethiopia. If you don't believe that, then you certainly don't believe that there was a flood. You probably don't believe in deity, or if you do, you're completely deluded. Well, that's why I'm here. I follow in the very footsteps of Muhammad. Muhammad's dead, but the Islam people have a lot of traditions about their precious prophet whom they're dangerously close to worshiping. This is a statistical adjudication. My job is to judge. I'm a judge. Now that doesn't mean I get to execute justice, and I would probably die of fright if that were ever offered to me. I would assume that whoever was offering me that power was lying. But if it could be demonstrated to me, no, you're going to be a real judge to have people, have people's fates decided, I would slit my fucking wrists and face God and find out what he says. No, I'm not that kind of a judge, but that's the only kind of judge you know about. You don't recognize wise men. You don't recognize a guide. You don't know what a prophet is, or if you did, you'd try to murder him. That's what humans do when they're controlled by giants. Do you believe in fallen angels? You'd better, because that's what's running Israel and the United States. There are about 200 of them that are consigned to earth. They can't go back to the convocation of the sons of God because they were caught. And Enoch reports that from before the time of the flood, which you don't believe in, so this must sound like nonsense to you. That's because you're retarded. And the technical explanation of your form of retardedness, it's final. You'll never get out of your trap. You don't recognize that the moon is a circle. You don't recognize the cycles of nature. You've forgotten what you learned as a child from looking at the sky and seeing the cycles of nature in heaven. You never learned what you're supposed to learn from the animals and plants and ecology. You were brainwashed in school. Your parents did nothing to help you. You were cut adrift, another fetus, an abortion, floating around on the surface of the earth like a goddamned ghoul. That's what you are. That's exactly what you are. The problem from my point of view is That's not what heaven intended for you. And now the chips are down. We're heading into the apocalypse. It'll be tomorrow. Already, American giant. America is one of the giants of Enoch's story. It's the result of copulation between angels and human women, right? Not exactly. That's a huge metaphor that's all through the prophets. All through the prophets. The statue that Daniel saw when he was a captive in Babylon, the prophet that Yeshua said you'd better understand his prophecy or you're going to hell, that's very rarely read in a Protestant church, never in a Catholic church. The Catholics were responsible for murdering Enoch. And if you don't like my language, you know where the fucking off button is, don't you? You're tuned in for a reason. Heaven is always trying to reach you. You don't need me, but actually now you do. I speak in riddles, I speak in conundrums, but I don't like paradoxes. I do like torturing you with the truth because I know you. You're an American, or if you have white skin, you're poisoned. You're part of a giant. You're a ghoul. You're a demon. You're murderous. You're the one who is responsible for the murder of Yeshua. You will be held guilty. You will be held responsible for your stupidity and your retardedness. I don't want to help you. I have to. That's my job. It's been my job since I was 17 years old. What kind of success did I have? Fuck you. What kind of success did I have performing the will of heaven? Fuck you. There's the off button. Get lost. I have an important announcement to make. I've made a difficult decision which now has become easy due to the grace of my Lord in heaven. I'm now on Facebook. My name was actually my cover name when I was an overseas unwilling CIA operative. My code name is Drake, D-R-A-K-E, Sterling, just like in sterling silver. And Drake Sterling is actually a kind of silverware, which you can buy if you're filthy rich, if you're a politician maybe, or you work for a giant like the United States. You may have enough money to buy a Drake Sterling silverware set. So that's where my name comes from. And out on Facebook, I am Drake Sterling. So you're going to want to keep up with me if you want any chance of getting out of your trap. There's no one else that's ever going to tell you the truth. From now on, I'm your last hope. You don't like that? Remember where that off button is, you fucking idiot. I'm having a blast. I am having such a blast. One of my acquaintances down at the local cafe, at which I've hung out consistently for 6 years since the campfire, which destroyed my home and my life's work. Yeah, there's a little credential. Am I a real prophet? Fuck you. I don't have to answer to you, but you're gonna have to answer not to me, but to what I say. That's what a prophet does. He tortures you until you're forced to turn to heaven and get absolution. If you don't do that, only one fate for you, honey. The same place where the fallen angels went. You're going to stay here. You're not going to heaven. Not ever. You're going to be tortured forever is how Yeshua and Muhammad said it. So did Enoch. That's the book we're reading from. And now we're coming up on 10 minutes. I haven't given you any content yet, but I need to bracket what I'm about to read. That is, I need to give you information about what you're going to hear from now until Christmas and unto all eternity, if I have my way. That's an exaggeration, but you understand. I'm emotionally elliptical. I'm out of my mind with happiness. I'm so in love with my Creator that nothing can stop me from going to heaven unless the Lord himself finds fault with me. He hasn't yet, but I need to be cautious because you don't want to be second-guessing your own Creator. You already have. You've already rejected him. You murdered his son. You don't care. You love the Jews. They're liars. They're not even Jews. You love Israel. You pay your taxes. You vote. You play your goddamn video games and make your stupid shit-ass music. We'll be right back. Thank you very much.